Hey everyone, I'm Rick Brusuelas, and with Joe Carlton, we host the Thursday Checkdown. There's never an off season in fantasy football, and each week our show brings you talented guests to help you, the fantasy football player, be more successful while also having fun. Tonight's show will be super fun because we're going to welcome back one of our predecessors, Tipp
Hey,
Major.
what's up, man? What is up, guys? I like how I pop up on the screen. That was pretty dope. That was pretty dope, man.
I got the timing down right for once.
Yeah, you did, bro. You did. You're doing the producing thing. I love it.
Nice.
What's up, fellas?
Fun.
Well, again, we're just super excited, and thank you very much for coming in and sharing your expertise. Everybody's really, focused on Scott Fishbowl, so we're going to focus our show on that to provide advice and draft advice, especially to people watching. But before we do that, why don't we go ahead and just talk a little bit about what Tipp Major is doing? And so why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit about your background and also what you do outside of fantasy football?
Yeah, I mean, I got a sales background, so I've always been marketing, sales. I got a degree in marketing, business management. So that's kind of always been my niche. I've always been able to talk to people, been able to, somewhat network and grow to become a better networker. And also just all around just want to be helpful to people, like help them out. And then in 2005, fantasy football came into my life. After watching it one season, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, what are these dudes doing? What are they talking about stats? And when I was a kid, I was always into the basketball stats, like who had the most steals, who had the most points, who was averaging the most. For my years, it was always Michael Jordan. He was always up there, so that was my favorite player. But I just equate that to what these guys were doing. And then they were watching the games, and I was like, what the hell is this? And so I went and played 2005. And just got hooked in ever since. Won my second year. It was the year where Tom Brady had the 50 touchdowns. Had Marshawn Lynch on that team. And yeah, it brings everybody together. And I was like, how can I bring everybody together, but also help people or give them my insights or my thoughts? Because I've been playing for, some time now. So that's kind of where it all started. I just was sitting around at the house, probably a Saturday afternoon, just brainstorming and talked to a few of my friends here locally. And one friend that actually lives in Maryland. And he was like, I was like, hey, I want to do a little podcast. What do you guys think? And they were like, well, they're really busy and, they got young kids. And I was like, well, I'll take care of it. I got everything together. I just want you guys there to talk. And so we got together and we talked and did a couple of shows, and then everybody just got too busy. And I was just like, I wanted more of it. I was like bloodthirsty. I wanted more. So I was just like, I'm going to try and do this Twitter thing. And then I was like, and then my wife now at the time, my girlfriend, she was like, hey, go out there and try it. And so I tried it, did the Spaces thing, like doing that. Then I started getting shows with other people. One show with Bob Harris, of all people, like, come on, like, what the hell? I was like, okay. So I did a show with Bob Harris for majority of the 2023 season and on Spaces. And then I did the Rip and Tip show with my guy, Michael Rippey. And just from there, man, I equate all of that to Spaces. Then I met Greg Kellogg through Spaces, and it came over to the Sports Affiliation. And it's just been a whirlwind ever since, man. It's just been a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun interacting with people, even if we don't agree. I'm gonna bust your head open if you don't agree with me. But I mean, hey, that's just how I am, But at the end of the day, we're gonna shake hands. We're gonna dap. We're gonna love each other. But I make sure I do my research as best I can to make sure that my decision has been put through the ringer as far as all the angles, all the little things that you may overlook, or because football, any sport is always the unknown. Look at what happened with Tyrese Halliburton just a few days ago. Yeah. And there's always an unknown, and so you always have to look at what some of those unknowns can be, and that's what I try to do. I try to look at some of those unknowns, but do it in a fun way. And I have fun doing it. I love the people that I've met, talked to, helped along the way. It's just been a blast, man.
I'm gonna let Joe take over, but because I walked over his first question, but I wanted to ask one question about.
And the second one too, because he answered the second
He
question
answered
already.
it.
I was ready. I was ready for you guys, man. I was ready.
I'm always ready for us. But
Mr. JSN's getting 1,500 receiving yards over here.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I'm telling you. Look, man. All right.
I wanted to get a follow-up question just because you mentioned spaces and you've talked to me about spaces, so I know a little bit about it, but I'm guessing a number of folks who are watching probably look at or heard the phrase spaces and may not understand what that is and how you use it. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what spaces is and how you use spaces?
So I heard about this thing called Clubhouse way back in the day. Somebody told me about it, and it's like forums. You get on there, you have speakers, co-hosts, or hosts, and they just get on there and they talk. Sometimes they're just talking shit. Sometimes they're talking real life things. Sometimes they're talking sports. So it just that's all you get out there and do. So it's for me, when I started, I hadn't found my voice yet when I started getting Clubhouse and then by the time I saw Twitter was doing similar thing, I was like, okay, I think I found my voice a little bit. And then, I always talk about my guy, Sage Alvarez. He's a really cool friend. He helped me out a lot through this Spaces journey. And he said, hey, you can come on with my network and get a show going. And, we'll talk fantasy football, we'll talk culture, whatever you want to talk about. It was mainly fantasy football. But, got on there and had a blast, man. But so Spaces is on X, on Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And it is where you can listen, sometimes watch. And this is a live space right now that we're on. It's powered through YouTube or, Sports Affiliation, but this is what we're on right now. So usually if you have a Twitter or an X account, make sure you have one, and you can go to like home and you'll see the little bars up there. You have the purple bars, which are the spaces where audio only. The pink bars are video or YouTube as well.
And then when you get in there, if you want to speak, you got to request a mic, right?
You got to request a mic. And then sometimes if you request a mic, you can also make noises too, like different sound effects and things like that. That's fun. But yeah, you have to request a mic. The spaces I'm usually in, sometimes they can get rowdy. Like I get in a bunch of New York Knicks spaces and I love them and they're hilarious and they get rowdy. Sometimes I'll talk on there. Sometimes I'll be like, nah, let them dudes just go. And then there's some other spaces where it's really cool, chill, calm, but good information. So it just depends on what you like, what your preference is.
Gotcha. Thanks.
All right. So he knocked out half the questions. No. when did you?
I'm ready to talk ball. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, let's do that. So Scott Fishbowl, how long you been playing in the Scott Fishbowl tournament?
Last year was my first year. It was weird. Yeah, last year was my first year. I've heard about it. I've heard about Scott Fishbowl forever. Every time I would hear about it, it would be from the fantasy footballers. They weren't always talking about it. And I was like, man, what is this Scott Fishbowl thing? And there's two things I always wanted to do. I wanted to be in the Scott Fishbowl, and I wanted to be in that Megalodon Bowl thing that the footballers got. So I haven't done that one yet. Maybe this year I'll try to do that. But yeah, it's just I was like, oh, this is an opportunity to not only spread a good word and a great charity that Scott Fish has started with his foundation. It's also getting to talk to people about fantasy football and getting to draft with people in fantasy football live. And that's fun because to me, it's nothing more than a live draft. I just did a draft with a bunch of friends all over the country, and it sucked because we were all on the computer. We were talking smack, but it was on our phones. And when you're in front of people and, sometimes drinks start flowing, you start having a good time. It's more fun for me when it's live, man. So yeah. I had fun at Draft Night Out last year. I had fun at the Scott Fish Bowl last year. I talk a little smack. I don't care who you are. You can talk smack back at me. It's fun. It's all out of love. And, I come from that angle. And that's where I met Rick last year, too, as I was at the Scott Fish Bowl live draft. And he was drafted with Greg Kellogg. And, it was cool. It was just an awesome experience.
Fun fact about me: it's the only live draft I do. I'm not part of any home leagues that have live drafts. I do all my stuff online.
Oh yeah, look, that's me and Greg, and yeah, man, we had a great time, man.
That's the Houston Texans beat writer Stephanie Stradler.
Yes.
Look at her ring. What we were doing. And
look at her ring. Her ring was amazing. I was like Stephanie. I was like, let me see this ring because it looked like a sound drum, and I was like, man, it's beautiful. Oh my god.
Well, I was going to sneak that in there on you too.
That's awesome. That was last year. That was my first Scott Fish Bowl. And you want to know what, guys? I finished 90th place. And I'm going to toot my own horn. I thought
that's good. No, that's good. I've never been that far.
I got up all the way to the fight. The only thing that stopped me from winning is I didn't play Devontae Adams. That I think it was one of those games I didn't play him, and that's what stopped me from getting to that next level. Because I lost. I missed the cut line by like 12 points, and he got like 17, 18 points. So yeah, that's where I dropped the ball.
Well, it was a lot of fun, and you're going to be playing again this year. So why don't you tell us what your plans are and where you're going to be drafting?
Look, you are the man with the plan. Rick, you're the one who organized and did everything. You've been, telling everybody about it, tweeting it out. I mean, it's at Carbach Brewery. I know that. I know it's on July 12th, and I know that you are the one that has orchestrated this whole event. And it seems to me like it's going to be a really, really fun event yet again.
And which division are you in?
I'm in the Oilers division. Yeah, I'm in the Oilers division. Yeah. I had to think for a minute because I was like, I couldn't remember if I was the Rockets or the Oilers, but I was the Oilers one.
Yeah, and which would be a fun division. And looks like the Texans division looks pretty tough too. So, but knowing that you're in the Oilers division, that's going to be, that's what people are going to be having to contend with. So,
I haven't even looked at my competition yet. I've just looked at the rules. I've been studying the rules.
Nice.
Well, we'll talk more about that later too.
Have you participated in any mock drafts?
Oh my! For Scott Fish? Yeah. No. I have. So in my way, I have. So I haven't been in any mock drafts for people with Scott Fish, but I did a mock draft on Yahoo, and I was like, let me do the Scott Fish settings in my head and try it that way. And some people were like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, this is for Scott Fish Bowl. And they were like, oh, yeah. And we started talking about Scott Fish Bowl and stuff.
And you've been buying raffle tickets, I'm sure, because...
Oh, yeah. Look at you. Look at you.
It's beautiful.
Signed Warren Moon jersey.
That's cool.
The baby blue one. The baby blue one is the nice
cool.
one.
You got any Raiders jerseys, though?
Oh, Raiders. Who are they? We'll talk more about that later, Joe.
What? Not you too, Rick.
Tipp. So I'm jealous of you guys meeting in Houston. Are you coming to the expo so I can meet you?
I will be at the Fantasy Football Expo, man.
Nice. All right.
I am. I'm excited about it. Last year was a year of firsts for me. So I mean, for lack of a better term, I guess I got my fantasy football cherry popped last year. So, I did the Fantasy Football Expo. I did the Scott Fish Bowl. I mean, like all of this stuff was like heavy fantasy football stuff that I love, that I've heard about, and I got to go and do it, and it was really cool. So yeah, I'll be at the expo this year as well.
Well, Joe's and I are both going to be there for our first times. It's going to be our virgin. So why don't you tell us a few things that we should or should not be doing while we're there?
Well, and at the expo?
Yeah.
Oh man, look! You don't want to hear that from me. I'll tell you right now. And look, I mean, I'll tell you this. There was people playing stickball at 3 a.m. There was bonfires till like 5 a.m. It was just an all out just party, just fest, man. It really wasn't. People playing poker. I'm not a big poker player. I don't really know how to play, but people playing poker all night. I'm more of a pool player. Like I'll shoot pool or play dominoes. So if anybody wants to get we're going to do a Scott Fishbowl domino tournament. I'm going to go to Scott Fish this year. I'm going to say, hey, we should do a domino tournament. And we'll see how many people show up because I bust heads open on the domino table. But anyway.
Well, I was going there to learn. I was going to go to sessions and learn.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got the sessions too, of course. I mean, that stuff is fun. I mean, Jason and Iggy will probably most likely have one. I know fantasy football guys will have one. Those are cool because you get to meet people. You get to network. That's the networking part of it. But I don't know. I went there trying to do a little bit of both, network and party, kind of unwind. So, yeah.
Well, rumor has it
you do one. You do them both at the same time, no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you do. And everybody goes to George's. I was talking to Pat Fitzmaurice, and he was like, Tipp, meet me at George's this year at the fantasy football. The first round's on me. And I was like, okay, all right, Pat, all right. But, yeah, everybody goes into George's place, and it's a pretty cool little bar. The food, I don't know. I was feeling good. Your boy was feeling good. So any type of food is good to me when I'm feeling good. So, yeah, the food was decent.
So as far as the poker games, I just throwing this out there now. I play way too much poker over here. So I'm doing the tournament. I will not be part of the late night poker games. I'm definitely not doing poker while I'm out there on vacation, hanging out, partying. And the tournament I'll do with the Drew Dav, but I'm not doing. I do too many. The casino's 5 minutes down the road, so I mean.
But the other thing that's going to happen at the expo, and there's going to be a Sports Affiliation booth. Joe's responsible for that, and he's going to make sure that people get a chance to meet with the TSA team, as well as I guess there might be some giveaways or tchotchkes or whatever else.
Carla has an interview already planned. I'm not saying the guest because I'm not sure if she announced it yet or not, but she has a guest booked to do a show right there at the booth. So.
Oh, nice.
And the booth is probably centrally located within the expo floor.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
It's we got booth 32. It's right around so after you walk in and you go through the first hallway and you take a left, we're going to be right there on the corner.
I was going to ask, is it in the same? So I wonder if is it the same spot it was last year? Because
I have no idea. Okay. I have no idea because I wasn't there last year.
Yeah, we were rookies. So you mentioned that team already, so it kind of takes some of the surprise out. But you are a Raiders fan.
Oh yeah.
That hasn't always been the easiest thing to admit to. Since I guess you can go back to the '60s, maybe they were good in the '70s. I can't remember that far back, but things are looking a little bit more up. So why don't you tell us about what your expectations are for the Raiders? Especially with the moves they made, both from a front office coaching and offense point of view.
Look, I will say this. My expectations this year are tempered a little bit because the last couple of regimes, it's going to take a while to wash that out. So that's kind of where I'm looking at right now. So Pete Carroll, I was on Spaces talking about, I like Pete Carroll being there. I understand the age thing. I get it. But he's going to come in there. He's going to change the culture. He's going to try to change it quickly because he doesn't have a lot of time. So from his standpoint, because he could want to retire next year. And for the other situation or the other reason is you had Tom Brady. And then Tom Brady brings on John Spytek, and they have a history. They got a little connection, and they both got rings. And then you also have Pete Carroll who has rings. So you got three guys who combined have 10 rings. I think that's something that is going to, allow us to win some games. Yeah. And it's going to change the culture of this thing. And I truly believe it. I believed it as soon as Tom Brady because Tom Brady's not the type of guy. He's going to do everything at his best ability. He may not be the best commentator, but as the year went on, he got better and better and better. I noticed it. And so it's one of those things where I think he doesn't accept mediocrity. That's why he had to get the old guys out of there. He's bringing in a new guy. Yes, the coach doesn't have a lot of time, but that's why you bring in a guy like Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly's going to run a quick offense. He's going to get these guys going really fast. Geno Smith, he's going to make good decisions. He's quick at decision making, and he has a good touch on the ball and good release. So I like Geno Smith in this offense. I think if you get him and then you get a guy like Ashton Genty like we got in the – I mean, come on. This is a match made in heaven for this team. And they got Brock Bowers, Jacoby Jones. The offensive line is decent. It's not bad. It's not great either, but it's not a bad offensive line. On the defensive side, you know that Pete Carroll wanted to get his big safety. So we got Jeremy Chin, 6'3", 220-pound guy, and he's got his safety now. Now let's see if Jeremy Chin could do some work. I'm not optimistic, but I'm not pessimistic either. I'm just kind of mystic about it. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with him, but I trust that Pete Carroll will get that together because that's Pete Carroll's baby. Pete Carroll loves working with the secondary. So that's something else I'm excited about too. And of course, Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, can he get that foot thing going? Hopefully he's okay. But I'm excited about the team. I don't think we're going to be world beaters this year. This is a tough division. So I think next year, this year we start to make a move. I think I predicted like 8-9 wins because Pete Carroll should give us at least 4 wins. And then I think next year is when we make another move.
You didn't mention two of the smaller additions that they made. My man crush, which is Jack Besh.
Oh, yeah. No, I like him. Yep.
And although I've been hearing reports from the camp, and they also drafted later, they drafted Thornton. And I understand that he's been with the first team, in most of the most current practices. So, but Besh is more of a big slot. And, of course, they've already got, you already mentioned Jacoby Myers, a really good wide receiver. So, I'm going to be patient. I've drafted 6 or 7 shares of Besh over the last rookie drafts that I've been, involved in. But I think that Raiders have, a reason for optimism. You mentioned Geno Smith, of course, getting Ashton Genty. They play in a nice stadium. Got a decent indoor kicker with Carlson. I think it's going to be a fun team to watch. So that's why in the past it was probably a little bit tougher, but I think you're going to have some good times on the go forward.
So, Tipp, before we're going to talk about Scott Fish strategy, but before we do that, I have to show you a draft board because it involves a Raider player, and I want you to tell me what you think of this team. How'd I do? Hold on, here we go. There it is. Team 9.
Team number 9. Okay.
Yep. This is third. This is third round reversal.
This is tasty. So I even like Rachaad White down there. Look, because Rachaad White is still going to get opportunities. It's not like Bucky Irving is the end all be all here. But anyway, I'm not even going to get down that road.
Same for Najee too.
And then you've got, dude, this is a nice team, brother. This is a nice team. I give it a solid B+, brother. I mean, the only thing, so I'm a little lower on Jameson Williams this year, just because I like that T-Slaw guy. T-Slaw.
Yeah, Isaac Tesla. Yeah,
I gotta say his name right. It's T-Slaw. I like him a lot. And I think that he has an opportunity, even in this offense as a rookie, that Brad Holmes, who Greg Kellogg talks about all the time and will always talk about him, had a show with him. Not with Brad Holmes, but talking about him. But anyway, this T-Slaw kid was their number one guy. Their number one wide receiver that they wanted. And they had him really high up on the draft board. They got him. And I just am a believer when Brad Holmes wants somebody, that player is going to end up becoming relevant on the offense or defense or whoever. It's going to become a relevant player. We've seen it with
early on in the
Porter.
rookie draft. He was pretty easy to get, but people have caught on, and so
people are catching on. Yeah.
So same thing with the Patriots. There's a guy named Efton Chisholm that was little known. So people were able to get him at the very tail end of the draft, if not picking him up after drafts and free agency.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden, he's people and there's a lot of wide receivers over there in the Patriots, but it isn't really set yet. So he's got as good a shot as any to get plenty of time. So I've been getting a lot of Tesla as well on drafts.
I like JMO just because of his he just takes it to the house when he gets it a ball.
Yeah,
in his hand.
like my only concern that's what we're getting at is he just going to turn into that type of player? Because you got Jamar Gibbs, he gets passes. You got Amon-Ra, he's going to get passes. He's Sam Laporta, who's going to get passes. And I think if this dude ends up making some plays for this team, I think that he could be that fourth option, leaving like, okay, J-Mo's going to get those. Because that offense can still be explosive. So he's going to get those 60-yard touchdowns.
That's what I mean. The offense, it works because he's part of that offense. Yeah. Like Laporta and Tesla will be not game script, but game plan dependent. Like if you know what I mean, however they're attacking, like Laporta, once Laporta gets a touchdown, like early in the game, he could go for 3 because they stick to like a game plan. Like if one thing is working, they like hammer that. I mean, at least that's how Ben Johnson was. I expect it to be similar. I don't think it's going to change all that much. I mean, I don't know. Because all the pieces are in place.
Yeah.
Seeing Sniper Mel in the chat kind of reminds me of a player that probably is going to be in the same sort of role with the Green Bay Packers, Matthew Golden. And I'm just, would you kind of compare him to J-Mo with kind of just over the top, long, or do you think Golden's got more?
Yeah. I saw so my stepsister's husband, or my stepsister's son, he went to a camp not too long ago, and Matthew Golden was there, and he took a picture, of course, with Matthew Golden. That dude's yoked. Like I didn't, and when I saw him, I was like, oh, that dude's built different. Like he's not like that long speed type dude. He's got a body like he can kind of do it all. And you could just tell just by looking at him, he was ripped up. So I think he's there to take over and be the number one guy in this offense.
So not really just a Christian Watson replacement, but a more complete wide receiver.
I think now the thing is there's allegiances, right? There's allegiances with Romeo Doubs and Jordan Love. They have a connection. I know Romeo Doubs is a little kooky in the head sometimes, but they've got a connection. So there's a little allegiance there. And then you got the Jaden Reed factor because they like to move him all over the field. I don't think that really messes with anything. I think they just allow him to do that. But I really like this Matthew Golden kid. I think we're going to learn quick. And I know it seems kind of funny, the Green Bay Packers would have been like 20 plus years since they even drafted a wide receiver in the first round. And I just think that he's going to live up to the expectation on this one.
Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
They also have Dontavian Wicks too, who,
his catch rate was terrible.
I liked him.
His hands were terrible, but Matt Harmon he's like a Matt Harmon darling with the spider charts with all the green all over the place. Matt Harmon is all over Wicks. Yeah.
Wicks for me is I think he's a great red zone option. When they get down in that area, he makes those contested tough catches in traffic.
Well, so I mean, yeah, but Romeo Doubs can do it too, and so can Tucker Kraft. I mean, he can do that too. Yeah, he can do it.
Yes, no, I understand that, but
yeah, it's just the Dontavian Wicks thing, I remember people last year were all over him. I was just kind of like, eh. And then I was like, okay, maybe I could be convinced. And then when I saw he had one game, he had 13 targets and 5 catches. And I went back and I was like, I'm gonna look at this game. Why did he? And he dropped like 3 balls. I was like, nah, I'm done. I'm out, bro. I'm like, nah, I'm out. And he had
that's the one thing Harmon Sharks doesn't show is the ability to catch.
And that's why he doesn't get the usage that we're all salivating for, you know?
Well, we're right. But now, I mean, with them getting Matthew Golden, are like, to me, the Green Bay Packers, it seems like, okay, they tried it with Christian Watson. Romeo Doubs is like on thin ice. And, you know, because he's had a couple of crazy situations. I mean, not like insane, but like, you know, kind of off the field stuff that just shouldn't have happened. And then, so now, and then you got Jaden Reed, who's like kind of does everything. And he's a little guy. He's a little guy. Can he get injured? Yeah, of course, anybody can. But like, I think that's Matthew Golden. I think they are done with some of these guys. Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks, I'm talking to you, and they are like all in on this Matthew Golden kid, and maybe one of these two guys, maybe Christian Watson or Dontavian Wicks, got to fight it out for camp, and one of them's off the team.
And maybe because they brought in Golden, you know, all of a sudden I saw Christian Watson at practice without a brace. He was running. You know, he's already running now, so you know, maybe he's. Inspired.
He's fearing for his job. He's fighting for his job. That's what he's doing, and that's what these players. That's what you want to see at this time of the year. You want to see competition because coaches have said it. Competition breeds success, and that's what you want to see at these moments. You want to see it. Look, am I competing because this young stud coming in here? And I'm still a young stud, but I've been injured, so he's gonna fight, man. So that's cool to see.
So, Joe, take us into the Scott Fish Bowl, since that was how we marketed this show. So,
yeah, we got plenty of time, Rick. Geez, we're on pace. So, we're at Scott Fish Bowl 15. There was some scoring changes this year. The quarterbacks gained some value. They went from 4-point passing touchdowns to 6. Mm-hmm. They also gained in yards. I think last year, I think it was only 20 yards was a point. This year, it's 25 yards as a point. So you're getting a point for every 4 points for every 100. Is that right? 4 points for every 100 passing yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe that's the same. Maybe the passing touchdown went up. And we got 2.5 points per reception and three and a bonus point for a tight ends.
Yeah.
We get the same thing, right? 0.25 for a carry. All the rest of that is the same. Are those the only? So, did I cover it? Go ahead. Why don't you?
Yeah, I was looking for it too, and here it is. Yeah. So yeah, you covered it. For me, I mean, of course you want to get. So immediately when I saw the rules come out, the scoring system, I was like, all right, tight ends, wide receivers, hold your hands up, because that's where I'm going. You have no way but to go there. I think that, you know, you could see several wide receivers that you could get easily if you go back to back to back that could surpass 150 targets, and that's 150 points. And then you got these guys who can, you know, get you receptions on those targets, you know, have really good catch rate. And so I look at those guys, those possession guys, because that also is going to be something big. So, man, it really boosted up the tight ends for me. And I wouldn't be mad. I've seen some people, I saw somebody post when they were in Vegas, somebody drafted Brett Bowers first. I don't hate that, because you're getting a tight end premium. You're getting all those targets. You're getting all those receptions. You're going to get touchdowns, you know, in the, you know, the 6 to 8 range possibly. You know, so yeah, I wouldn't hate it. So I'm going tight end heavy. I'm going wide receiver heavy. quarterbacks for me, even if it's a 2 QB, I'm just not a big. I don't wait. Like I did a 2 QB league this last week, and I got Dak Prescott and Justin Fields. I think that's good. It's not like Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, but I mean, I got a guy who could do it all.
That could actually hit if Dak stays healthy. That can hit.
That's how I am. So I'm not quarterbacks. I'm not really big on getting. I'm still waiting on quarterbacks. I want all the positional players that are good that I can get. That's where I want to rely on.
Yeah, in fact, and Mel points out in the chat it's all kind of like flex positions. So it's going to allow for a lot of creativity in terms of the rosters that you build. A lot of the mock drafts I've seen start off with like and your favorite player, Bijan Robinson.
Oh man,
and Jamar Chase, and then after that, you might see a quarterback, one like Al Jax or Josh Allen, but I think you're going to see quarterbacks actually pushed down later into the draft as a result. And McBride, yeah, right, Sam. McBride is somebody who
he's getting 5 touchdowns this year, guys.
Last year I took him in the second round over Joe Burrow, and it paid off. Last year's score. I'm
gonna look at the over under on touchdowns for him because I'm saying he gets 5. I'm pretty sure it's probably gonna be like 3.5.
Touchdown regression because he got this number last year.
He was getting 30s and 40s. Getting 30s and 40s, and with the new scoring system and some more touchdowns, my God, what he can score in this format. Yeah. That's how. That's exactly like he's probably going to be my 104. I'm not going to lie.
No.
And I'm struggling, but I'm between him and Genty, really, honestly. Right. Because I was going to say, I think the elite. I know you were off the running backs, but I think the elite, high volume running backs will pay off.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah, Bijan Robinson. Christian McCaffrey. Even if I'm not going to do it. But like Christian McCaffrey,
neither am I.
You have to have stones to go after McCaffrey,
right?
And also maybe even Saquon Barkley. Because
I mean those guys are.
We've talked a lot about the use of last year and maybe overuse. Yeah. And so, do you move Gibbs a little? Would you draft Gibbs higher than Barkley?
Gibbs is a guy I would definitely draft because he's going to get a lot of catches out of the backfield. That's where I think they're going to use him a lot this year. So that's going to be a lot of targets. That's going to be a lot of catches. It's going to be a lot of opportunities for touchdowns. Those are the guys I'm cool with getting, but I'm also cool with getting somebody like,
Oh, Sam's out there saying I'm not giving away secrets.
I was trying to post it. I'm
still cool with getting somebody like Aaron Jones. Like, I mean, this is not a draft. This is not a dynasty draft. This is a redraft league. I'm cool with getting Aaron Jones because I know he's going to get passes. He's going to get catches out of the backfield. Travion Henderson, he might go a little early, but guys like this, these guys who are going to get a lot of catches out of the backfield, who are like not that big name or maybe a little bit older, that's who I'm going for in running backs. Because again, this is not a dynasty thing. This is 1 year, and I'm see if I can get the best team. That's it.
And A-Chain as well.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys. He's going to be drafted way earlier. I mean, definitely A-Chain, but he'll be drafted. He'll be up there. I'm willing to do tight end or wide receiver like the first 4 or 5 rounds. I'm almost tempted to go 0 RB on this thing. And if I can I don't think he would last. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't last. But let's say that I can get somebody like, if I can get somebody like Chase Brown, like in the 5th, and then I can later on and get some more wide receivers or something, and I can get like a Braylon Allen. Oh man, like not as my number 2 running back, but like my number 3 or flex, because I think Braylon Allen is going to have some appeal like straight off the bat. I don't think he's going to be just sitting on the bench. Not that dude. They call that dude War Machine. Have you heard that? They call him War Machine. Like that don't to me, that does not scream bench. That screams you going to be on that field and go into war. So yeah.
Well, and so you kind of shared what your direction you're going to approach the draft with. Um, most of these changes seem to have been, introduced by Scott to try to increase scoring and flexibility and creativity. So we're going to see that in a lot of the early drafts or early rounds in the drafts, that people are going to try to differentiate themselves. Chalk rarely wins in Scott Fishbowl because you're going up against 4,000 or 5,000 different players. So you have to be different and take a risk. And so maybe even, CMC is that type of risk, but I don't have the, I don't have the sense.
So look, if you're the type of person that's like, I want to take CMC, I would caution you. I wouldn't do it. I would much rather go with Kenneth Walker and then get like Zach Charbonnet as my backup, as a handcuff, because you're not going to pay as high as you would for Christian McCaffrey just because of the name in and of itself. And people are still and look, Kenneth Walker's, I think he has a little bit of a little nagging ankle injury or some type of injury right now. So that's also going to start deterring people away. But I think that if he can stay healthy and get on his field with that Clint Kubiak offense, I think this is going to be a really good offense.
All right. So we kind of went over roster build. You're thinking 0 RB. I'm kind of the same way. I'm in the same boat, but like, the running back, when I don't know how to say it. Like, if I'm taking a high volume running back if they fall. Is that the best way I can describe it?
Yeah. Like Rick was just saying.
I'm not gonna like James Cook. When I don't need a run. If there's still a high possession wide receiver, still like you said, the 2.5 catches, the targets. All that. I think MFL is the one that has the point per target, right? And sleeper, it's just higher point per catch. But like you said, I think the pass catches have a slight advantage here, and I think where you're not required to start 2 running backs, so you it's kind of like a best player approach almost.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's going to be, like Rick said, it's going to be very creative. It's going to be really cool to see different, because it was crazy last year having to draft a returner. And it's so funny. I ended up doing articles on the returners because when I was there at the Scott Fishbowl, I was like, please, I ain't drafting no return. Like, what the hell? Like, no, I'm drafting Bijan Robinson, Justin Jefferson. Like, I'm drafting players. I'm not drafting no kick return. And Kavontae Turpin.
It was the leading wide receiver.
Right. Like he had just as many points as the Bijan Robinson did. And I was just like, this is crazy. Like, what's going on? And,
I had him.
So it's always fun to have that little, wrinkle that's in there.
Yeah, and if you remember our draft, or at least most of the drafts in Houston, there were people lined up to get the early kick returners who were also wide receivers or maybe a running back, so that they would get the extra points. Now, one of the different rules this year is, and Scott always says a twist every year, the twist here was the IDP player, or at least the defensive points. If an offensive player makes a tackle, or I think they often call it the Hunter rule, if they actually play defense, they're going to score more points. So what are your thoughts on drafting Hunter as an early pick, and just in general? Do you think that the possibility of getting tackles is going to make a difference?
I saw that. I saw where Football Guys, they had Hunter like the number 2 pick. I know. If I got the number 2 pick, I'm still. It's Bijan Robinson, or it's Jamar Chase. Whoever picked that person first.
I'm drafting 103.
Yeah. Well, and Rick Avery, he just asked
Avery
what
asked you your question.
He just asked me what position. I'm number 1, so I'm telling you right off the bat who I'm getting. So you know. Yeah, it's easy. It's like it's no brainer for me. But yeah, I don't know. I could go with Jamar Chase. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I think Travis Hunter is a guy that, again, this is not dynasty. This is 1 year. And I think it's going to be a good year for him. I think he makes some splashes, but I think it's the year after that. And I think it's the year after that. I think that's when we're going to be like, oh, this dude's different. Like this dude, this is that unicorn, like, they talk about Ohtani in the MLB. It's like they also talked about Travis Hunter. He could do both. I think that's when he becomes. Now for IDP, he could also become, but I think he's going to be so dynamic on offense. They're just going to want to keep him on offense. It's like they're going to be like, dude, you don't even need to be. The only defense you need to be is we'll put you on special team and let you return some kicks. But you don't need to
I think he hits right away because he's going to be on easy street with Brian Thomas on the other side.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great. And you got Liam Cohen there. Like I know I make fun of Liam Cohen. I call him Willy Wonka, but I think that the dude. I think that the dude's a good mind. I go back and looked at. I didn't really know a lot about him until the NFL, and then I went back and looked at some of the stuff that he did with Kansas and what Ray Davis had to say about him, and I was like, oh, okay, this he's for the people, and I mean the people to like his team. And so,
I took him at the 103 in a rookie draft over Tet.
Yeah.
So,
I like him. I don't know about still for this format. I'm if I got the number 2 pick, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. So Tipp, you're 101 and I'm 103. Joe, where are you drafting at?
104.
104. So we're all early, which after seeing some of the mocks and seeing where players are starting to land, I'm kind of regretting that I didn't go 110, 111, 112.
No way. I disagree. You're going to get the 4th guy before everybody else.
Well, although, in drafts where the quarterbacks were important, getting one of the top 3 quarterbacks was a good reason to try to move up early. But now I'm seeing lots of drafts where they're getting, a couple of wide receivers, and then they come back with the 3rd round reversal and get another, good player. I'm kind of regretting. I'm in the 103. I'm hopeful that we've got some very creative drafters in my draft, since I'm kind of wishing I'm not early enough to get one of the 2 players I want, and I'm not towards the back where I'm not struggling. I'm going to grab whatever running back and wide receiver back down there, or 2 wide receivers, or maybe one of the tight ends, and then have that early 3rd round pick too. But in fact, maybe we could talk a little bit about if we were to break the 1st round up into maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What kind of players, not necessarily naming the players, but what would you be targeting depending where you're at in the draft?
Well, I mean, if I'm at the first part or first half of the draft, I mean, I'm not going to fault you if you go out there and get Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. That's just not my strategy. I'm still going to go heavy on, one of the top running backs, one of the top wide receivers. I'm not quite there. I mean, in Scott Fishbowl, yes, I would even consider Brock Bowers or Trey McBride for sure, even in that number, in that top 5 spot. I don't know if I'll do it at number 1, but if I had like number 5, I would pull the trigger 100%. I wouldn't even hesitate. If it's Brock Bowers, Trey McBride needs to be a little bit behind that, in my opinion. And so if I had the middle part of the draft, of the round, again, that tight end is starting now. The door's open for you, and I'm going to consider a tight end. I'm still going to consider Saquon Barkley because, again, this is a redraft league. This is not. I don't have to worry about him next year. If he has another great year again, perfect. I don't have to worry about that. I don't think he's going to do it, but again, that's cool. But I'm still going to Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs. I would do Jahmyr Gibbs in front of Saquon Barkley. Justin Jefferson's still in the mix.
CD Lamb.
CD Lamb. CD Lamb's definitely there. Puka's starting to creep up a little bit. I don't know, man. I love Puka Nacua. I think that I wrote an article about him in 2023. I heard a little bit of rumbling about him, and I was like, let me look at this guy. And I wrote an article talking about him. And I'm not gonna say I'm the one who discovered him because I was not, but I ended up writing something because I thought he could be special, and he has been special. Just the injury, and it's the knee injury. So hopefully that's cleaned up. Devontae Adams does make me a little nervous because Sean McVay wanted him. If you've seen the video of Matthew Stafford, look at that video. It's hilarious. He sees Devontae Adams running some of these routes, and he is like, what in the hell? Like he can't wait to get on the field with this. And then I like Terrence Ferguson. I know Tyler Higbee, but I like Terrence Ferguson too. I think he could do some noise and make some noise. So Puka's still there. I still like AJ Brown. Not a lot of people do. They're nervous about how much they're going to run. I think they pass a little bit more. So I still think AJ Brown or Monra is there at the end of. And then I would even consider if you're at that 1-2 turn. If you can get Jonathan Taylor on your team, whether it be the first or the second round, I really like Jonathan Taylor this year. They're going to run the ball a lot. I think they probably will be one of those 30 plus team or 30 plus per attempt teams this year. And I think Jonathan Taylor has 1,500 in him. I think he has 1,500 in him, 10 touchdowns, maybe another 300-400 catching. And I think he has it in him because they're going to use him so freaking much. I mean, the only thing that's going to stop him is if he gets banged up. But utilization is going to be no problem because the dude's going to touch the ball. He might be a 400 touch player this year. And that's where I would end it. I would go back to like the running back position, Jonathan Taylor, Joe Burrow. Yeah, I would talk about Joe Burrow too. I still would consider him. I just like to wait on quarterbacks. That's just me though.
Yeah, and you were kind of describing with if you get like the first couple of picks, let's say the first or second pick, you're going to get either Bijan or Chase. But the way you were describing the tail end of the draft, where you're going to get maybe Sun God, or you're going to get a high volume running back like Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good start.
It's a great start.
Yeah, I would be pretty happy with that start. So
I would be ecstatic because you're going to get targets from both of those players.
And high volume. I mean, volume is going to be king. So,
Tipp. So after the draft, we know that Scott Fisher has deep benches. So why don't you give us some advice on how you would approach free agency?
I am aggressive. I'm always looking at like who are the secondary players, and I start looking them up. I start looking up, how much of an opportunity they could get in this season, even if they're rookies. I try to get like those rookies that like a Devin Neal, right? Like this guy played at Kansas,
Kamara goes down,
a really good player. They're not going to be fighting for anything all season long. I would be surprised if this team wins 5 games this year. So they're going to be one of those bottom of the barrel team. They might just want to see what they got, and I'll try to get on those early, especially if they're on the waiver wire.
Rick, be nice. At least wish for a trade. Guys, Kamara goes down. What are you doing? I have a lot of Kamara. I have a lot of Kamara.
I love Kamara. I think he's going to do it again this year because he's just going to, get passes thrown to him. But he is also about to be 30 years old, and there is a drop off at some point.
His durability is 100% a concern over the course of the season for sure.
And that's typically what I try to do even late in the draft. I try to look for those backup running backs. So a Garendo, a Mason, and maybe even, and I guess Shipley is the backup to Saquon.
Yeah, you have him and A.J. Dillon, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, A.J. Dillon didn't do anything in Green Bay. I don't know how much more he's going to do in Philadelphia. But, looking for those sort of players later in the draft, because what are you going to do? You're going to get like a fourth or fifth wide receiver or a running back who, an injury away, all of a sudden is now, a high-producing player for your team.
Right.
That's what I tend to do. But you could also hopefully find those guys maybe in the first week of free agency as well.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm going to say this because I should keep this a secret, but we didn't mention them throughout that whole reign of handcuff running backs we just mentioned. But I think Ollie Gordon, if EJ were to go down, I think Gordon's the guy and not Jalen Wright.
Not Jalen Wright?
Right. Well, I think they'll both be involved, but Ollie Gordon's going to be more of the A-Chain. He's more of A-Chain style. Jalen Wright would be the guy getting the carry, doing the dirty work and first down carries and stuff.
I actually think that they got Gordon to replace Mostert, who is more the grinded out type of a running back.
You think so? I mean, I don't know. I think
Jalen Wright's super fast, just like A-Chain. So I would probably compare. They would be more comparable players to me. And, I think Gordon's a good player to grab because he does have a role now with the team.
Right. And that's what we're getting at. You have to be aggressive when it comes to your waivers. So there's always a player or maybe two where you're just like, why did I even draft that player? I've got too many of these players. I don't need him. But I don't have enough of this position. So, I have enough at this position, meaning like running back, but these guys also have a lot of injury concerns from previous seasons. So then you got to say, okay, you can get a Jalen Wright, you can get Ollie Gordon, you get both of them. I wouldn't necessarily do that. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, especially if it's like the Dolphins. Now, if it's like the Bengals, or like a really good offense, then okay, I might try to get. I did that one year with the Kansas City Chiefs, not in the Scott Fish, but just I tried to get every running back on the Kansas City Chiefs because I knew whoever it was that ended up playing, they were going to hit. And but yeah, I don't remember. There was one guy, Darwin Thompson.
Except for Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, Darwin Thompson, I think, is the guy that I picked up, and he didn't do crap. Like I was like, man, what the hell? Like I drafted all these guys, and Patrick Mahomes throwing it from the 2-yard line. Like what the hell to Travis Kelce? So,
and that was funny because last year Jalen Wright was someone we were all targeting and didn't get very much use. Trey Benson, same thing. People were all over Trey Benson. I saw that Sam brought up Benson in the chat, and again, as long as Connors is still playing, Benson's going to be just basically maybe
chilling on your bench.
Right.
Chilling on your bench.
Right.
So a question came in about Rice and
about who?
Rashee Rice.
Rashee Rice. I love him too.
My God.
Everybody loves him.
Yeah. Look,
no suspension. He's healthy. It looks like he's running without even a sleeve on that knee.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Through the roof.
Tip is frozen. Tip is frozen. He looks like Ice Cube in Friday right now.
Oh, am I frozen?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't know why.
It's a good pose though.
Okay.
It is. You look totally
But wait, you guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, because this is all I want to say. I want to talk about. I want to talk about Rashee Rice because the kid last year was on pace for 1,300 yards, double-digit touchdowns, over 80 catches. Like he's gonna do the same thing, if not more, as long as he stays healthy. Travis Kelce is a shell. I understand he may have lost weight or may have not. I don't know what he said. He said he hasn't lost that much weight, but Travis Kelce I think Noah Gray is a tight end that people should be looking at too. Nobody's really talking about him because we've already seen him have some success the last couple of years. So I think they're only going to use Travis Kelce later on, and when they need him the most,
exactly. He's the playoff player.
He's gonna fight later on in the season. Now he might be in there for some packages here and there, but I think Noah Gray is a lot of people need to start talking about him more. And anyway, so so I think that Rashee Rice is an absolute bona fide number one. Patrick Mahomes trusts him. He's a different player than Patrick Mahomes has had. If you're going to compare him to Tyreek Hill, but Patrick Mahomes is that different type of dude. He don't matter what type of receiver it is. Patrick Mahomes is going to get you the ball, and he will do it with Rashee Rice. I like Xavier Worthy this year too.
Because the Chiefs you're not going to be able to just focus on Rice because they've got Worthy, and they'll get Hollywood back too. I think this year, so they're going to have a pretty potent wide receiver crew.
Yeah, no, they're going to be the issue. I think always was health. Can these guys stay healthy? I think that they could easily be a top, duo / maybe even a trio if Hollywood Brown stays healthy. That's going to be pretty dangerous, and they're going to need to score more points this year because I think that defense took some hits this offseason, and the offensive line took some hits too with the Joe Tooney going to Chicago. So he's going to have to get the ball out of his hands quick, and they're going to have to score quick. And I think we see a little resurgence from the Chiefs this year on the offensive side.
Yeah, Mel wants to know
for fantasy.
Mel wants to know what round are we talking? Scott Fish or I mean, in redraft, I got him in one draft in round 4. I pivoted to get him. I was ready. Lamar Jackson was falling. I was ready to take him but one time I take an elite quarterback early, and Rashee Rice was still there, and I didn't take Lamar Jackson. I was like, just give me Rashee. So if he falls to you, I like it. I'm not trying to reach for him, Mel. Just because, I mean, Xavier Worthy, what he did down the stretch can't go underestimated. I think he's going to be a big pot. It's going to be game plan. Right. Rashee Rice is going to be the more consistent guy. They both have decent ceilings. I'm in on Rice as long as I'm not reaching.
Yeah, well, and you said it really cool. Like I like how you said it, because this is my philosophy on Rashee Rice. If it's a dynasty league, I'm being aggressive as hell. I'm getting him because then I'm like, I got to worry about, how's his knee doing this year? The legal situation. But after this year, I don't have to worry about that no more, because hopefully his knee will be even healthier. He's not going to have to worry about that. You maybe have to worry about some of the off-field stuff. Will he do that? Of course, but that's anybody. I think that if it's a dynasty league, I'm willing to get him late in the second round. Now, if it's a redraft league, I'm going to be not as aggressive, like you said. I'm going to be a little bit more cautious on where I'm getting him. Do I already have 2 really good wide receivers? If I do, and it's a 3 wide receiver format, as far as my my roster, then I will definitely go in on Rashee Rice, like 3rd, 4th round for sure.
But you definitely would put him. I mean, you've got your Chase, CeeDee Lamb. You've got Sun God. You've got I think
if he didn't have
Raiders and BT and Brian Thomas Jr.
Oh yeah.
And then AJ Brown, and then maybe you might start looking at where Rice might slide in somewhere in that group after that.
If Rashee Rice had a healthy season last year and he didn't have this legal stuff going over him, I would have him in the top 5. I would have him right in that CeeDee Lamb. I would. Nice. The only reason that's holding him back from that is because he tore his ACL last year and he's got these legal situations. I think if he didn't have that, he would be right in the conversation. And you can give or take with CeeDee Lamb. I mean, I'm not going to fight you if you go with CeeDee Lamb over CeeDee. But I think that if he was healthy, he would be in that conversation. I think he would be above Amon-Ra. I think he would be above, and that hurts because I love Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, I agree with that, Tip. That's a good take. I like it.
I think he would be above Puka Nacua. But
I like that too.
I think, I think what's hurting him again is what happened last year.
As far as his legal thing, though, I don't think it affects this year.
No, it's looking at 26. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, okay, now you got it. Now you got 2 years to kind of yeah, you may fall back a little bit on the dynasty side, but I still would be I think that as long as he's on the field, he's going to score.
That might be the time to go out and buy him when all that legal stuff's starting to go down.
Because it could be 3 games, could be 6 at the most, but you're still going to get him in 26. So.
Yeah.
All right.
And again, a lot of the people who are playing Scott Fishbowl, this is their first chance to play, and so I know I've talked to people who are nervous as a first-time player. What sort of advice would you give a first-time player about the Scott Fishbowl?
I mean, have fun, mingle, talk to everybody. I mean, like last year, I met Stephanie Stradler. I met her, and then I met Tara Roberts. That was cool. And I got to meet Eric Romanoff. And so it was cool just to mingle with a lot of people, talk to a lot of people, and we all love fantasy football. I'm not a big beer drinker, so I mean, I did have like a cider or something. I don't know. They had something there, and it was all right. But I just have fun. I have fun talking to fantasy football, mingle throughout the different tables, look at what other teams are doing or other people's strategies, and kind of like either take that advice or go way away from it. But most of all, have fun as well. And just make sure you know the rules. Make sure you understand the rules. If you don't understand the rules, go to somebody like, for us, it's Rick, because he's the host. He's the host with the most for the Scott Fishbowl, like Greg would always say. So, go to somebody like him and make sure that you understand the rules, because it is overwhelming. You got like 60, 80, maybe even 100 people in a room, and they're all drafting, and there are all these boards all over the place, and everybody's talking smack, or some people are on their computers looking up stuff. I don't take a computer. I try to do it on my phone or do it off the head, and just the research and stuff that I've done, it should lead the way for me. And you do have to make changes or go a different course, but that's it. It's just making those adjustments, and that's fun to me, and making the adjustments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback off that a little bit? Because I'm just going to tell you based on my experience. My first year at Scott Fishbowl was at a live draft in Boston. I went in there more competitive than I should have been, and I was focused too much on the draft. I did socialize with my league mates, but I didn't enjoy it the way I should have. And then the second year, I was getting yelled at because I was too late. Rick wants me to bring the binder. So I will, Rick. So the second year I enjoyed myself a little bit more. I went around to all the different leagues. I talked to everybody. I had more enjoy yourself. Don't forget to donate. Right. Absolutely donate. So the fantasy industry is responsible for me being where I'm at now. Like I'm mentally good. I have a purpose. I'm doing what I'm passionate about. This is and so I like to. This year I took it more seriously. I'm in a position to play poker again. So every time I hit a benchmark as far as my bankroll growing, I donate to Fantasy Cares. That's been a thing I did this year. It's a great feeling to do stuff like that. So donate, like Tipp said, have fun. As far as drafting advice goes, these drafts are all over the place. So just take an adaptive approach and get the guys you want to root for. You're not going to lose anything if you draft a 12th place team. This is all about having fun. Draft the guys you want.
Yep.
And to triple up on that, definitely have fun. You're going to, sit down and you're going to get a chance to meet with a lot of great people, all who love fantasy football, but also, they see the importance of giving back and donating. There'll be raffles, there'll be silent auctions at all of the drafts, and you'll get a chance to donate money to a great cause. The Houston draft, it's the Houston Food Bank. Most of the other live drafts have a local charity they're supporting. And on top of that, there's Fantasy Cares. And Fantasy Cares, gathers a lot of money and does a lot of good each year, especially with things like Toys for Tots. Yeah. The best things you get to see over Twitter for the rest of the year will be all the different people going to Targets and other stores to buy toys for kids who are deserving. So, hey, you're back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Maybe my computer went to sleep. I don't know. But as long as you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
See you and hear you. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So again, have fun, enjoy the experience, and really, I guess Bruce Lee once said, "Be like water." You'll go in there with a set plan, and 2 picks later, boom, your plan's out the window. You're having to kind of adjust on the fly. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it Scott Fishbowl. So
100%, man.
All right. Well, this has been a great show, Tipp. Thank you, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for adjusting the date and all that. That's clutch, as you know. Why don't you actually, the audience knows where they can find you, but just in case we got some new listeners in here, remind them where you find.
I appreciate it, fellas. It's always good having fun with you guys talking. At Tipp Major, you can find me there. You can find me on Blue Sky as well. Find me with Football Guys. Find me with Odds Checkers, with betting and fantasy information and content videos on there with them. Also, I have a show on Wednesday nights called Level Up. We just did our show last night with Pat Fitzmaurice of Fantasy Pros. That was fun. That should drop pretty soon. Also, going to start doing something with the TSA, the Sports Affiliation. Happy to be back doing some things with them. Not ready to tell everybody what it is just yet, but it's going to be fun. So looking forward to that. And just looking forward to seeing everybody at the Expo and at the Scott Fishbowl draft. This was a great show. I had a lot of fun. Thanks.
Awesome. You can join Rick and I next Thursday at our regular time when our guest will be an old friend and former teammate of the Sports Affiliation, Jeff Lambert, of Going for Two and talking more about Scott Fishbowl strategy. Keep an eye for all the great shows on the TSA YouTube channel. If you're new to the channel, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We appreciate all of that. We're trying to grow this beautiful company that gives us a great platform to talk ball and just talk with our fantasy football friends. So appreciate JC for that. JC and Iggy. Can't state that enough. And that's pretty much it. I think we're gonna get out of here. So,
all right. Again, thanks, Tipp, for jumping in and sharing your knowledge and sharing your positivity. It's always been fun.
Man, it's been fun. Thanks, guys.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Good night.